that never came into fruition, and it still hasn't come into fruition. By the time you hear this, probably something will have happened for Ted DiBiase. But it seems like, they lost faith in the Virgil thing, so the next thing WWE Creative come up with is the fact, okay, we're going to put Ted DiBiase with Maurice and try to get the two of them over. And all we see from week to week is them arguing, and Ted DiBiase constantly being booked to lose. I'm going to go back to the fact that he's booked to lose. If you're booking him to lose, at least book him to lose 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And if you don't want to have him get over on Monday Night Raw, have him get over on Superstars to show that WWE still has a bit of faith in him. I read on ProWrestling.com a while back that Ted DiBiase was in line for a push. Okay, if he's in line for a push, why are you constantly still booking him to lose? Book him to win a scattered time. I saw Ted DiBiase win his first match in months a few weeks ago, and it was part of a tag team match that featured Ted DiBiase teaming with Alicia Fox and his valet Maurice to take on Daniel Bryan, who I guess he's in the middle of a feud with, which has the potential to be a phenomenal program, to take on Daniel Bryan and the Bellas. And I've said this time and time again, Daniel Bryan does not need to be spending the amount of time that he's spending with the Bellas. That is ruining his career. You have an all-respected athlete throughout the independents for the last 10 years, and you're booking him with the Bellas. Absolutely atrocious. I hate that idea. But, okay, Ted DiBiase wins his first match. So is this the indication that we've been looking for the last number of months to tell us that Ted DiBiase is going to be getting a push? You have him get over on Daniel Bryan after Daniel Bryan makes him tap out from week to week. That's not the way you need to book someone like Ted DiBiase. If you want to give him a push, have him do significantly well in the Royal Rumble or, the King of the Ring later on this year, the 2011 King of the Ring. Have him do something that's going to make him stand out apart from everybody else on the Raw roster. Don't constantly book him and have him to lose. If you're going to do that, then you're going to kill the idea of him having a push. If you want to push him, the best thing to do is have him, become the United States Champion. Have him defeat Daniel Bryan at a pay-per-view in the first match of the pay-per-view. Even if the match has to open up a pay-per-view, have Ted DiBiase become the United States Champion, hold his first major singles championship, and be all high and mighty for a number of months. Nobody can beat him. He's the United States Champion. And if you don't want to do that, I believe that Ted DiBiase could easily fall into the category of being the number one contender for the WWE Championship. That would be a phenomenal way, to market Ted DiBiase and give him the push that he needs. If his father, the $1 Million Man, can be in the title hunt for years back in the 80s and the 90s and still appear on WWE television after all these years, why not do something like that? Why not bring the original $1 Million Man back for a few months to have him be the manager of his son, and that would be a way of pushing him. If they can bring Paul Bearer back after being gone for 10 years, they can bring Ted DiBiase back just to help him push his son, and I know Ted DiBiase, would definitely agree to do that. We had Ted DiBiase here on the show a few years ago, and he was so proud of his son. But I have to wonder, how proud is he right now, seeing how WWE Creative and John Laurinaitis and everybody on the creative team are treating somebody like Ted DiBiase? Because to be honest with you, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go on record for saying this. WWE Creative are treating Ted DiBiase like a dog. You don't need to be booking him from week to week to lose. That's the biggest problem I have with this right now. Brett DiBiase, ruined his push. He showed up at the SummerSlam event, I believe it was in 2007 or 2008, and then he was never seen or heard from again. I think he did something the following night on Raw. I think he was going to be a member of Legacy, but then they kind of parted ways with Brett DiBiase. I believe he's still down there in the developmental territory, and we've never heard anything from him since, other than the bit of news that we've gotten on the pro wrestling websites. But I really do believe that the DiBiases really do need to get their head back in the game and get their heads on straight if they want to get a push. I'm reading on ProWrestling.com that Ted DiBiase is going to be getting a push, and I'm proud that Ted DiBiase is going to be getting a push. The only problem I see with it is WWE Creative need to do it right. Push him against a formidable opponent. Have him turn babyface if you have to. Ditch Maurice, turn babyface, and then, go to SmackDown. Have a feud with someone like Alberto Del Rio, who is sending shockwaves up and down the SmackDown locker room. Or have him have a feud with Kane. Edge wasn't doing anything on Raw. They moved him to SmackDown. In a number of weeks, he's the World Heavyweight Champion. The way I look at it is, Ted DiBiase has the potential to be a world champion. The problem is, you're just not booking him right. You're not booking Ted DiBiase right, and he's very underrated. He's not talked about enough. It seems like the commentators and the fans have absolutely no interest in Ted DiBiase. The $1 million belt thing didn't work. The Virgil thing didn't work. The Maurice thing worked to a certain extent, but it's getting old, and Ted DiBiase needs something new. He needs to break away from Maurice and go solo on his own. Get the man some new entrance music, a new look even if you have to. Do what you have to do to get him over, and that's the right way to push him. Book him against some of Raw's top talents. You know, we're sick of seeing John Cena feud with the Nexus. Have him take a break from that. He can go back to feuding with the Nexus. Book Ted DiBiase to win a scattered time against John Cena like they did with The Miz. You know, The Miz was booked in matches with John Cena. Nobody thought The Miz stood a chance against John Cena, but The Miz got a couple of wins over John Cena. He went on to become WWE Champion. Do the same thing with Ted DiBiase. The way I look at it is, if Dolph Ziggler can be the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship and have a phenomenal program with Edge, why can't Ted DiBiase be the number one contender for the WWE Championship? If you don't have enough faith with him being on Monday Night Raw, in the 2011 draft, you know, send him over to SmackDown or something. You know, he needs to be doing something, you know, to make him stand out. Having him be a rookie, you know, helping a rookie out on you know, NXT Season 4 is not really doing the man justice. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need to be a pro on NXT. That's still not making him stand out. Again, a lack of intelligence on the part of WWE creative here. They're not booking someone like Ted DiBiase right, or doing it fairly. You know, Jack Swagger was the World Heavyweight Champion. What happened to that? Now he's losing matches to Daniel Bryan every week. So you're taking former champions who fuck up their roles on, you know, shows like Raw and SmackDown, and then you're booking them against people like Daniel Bryan to lose. Something is not right, you know, in the woods as it pertains to WWE creative. Something has been put in the drinking water at these creative meetings, because you bring somebody like Ted DiBiase in, and you have him come in with so much hype and so much promotion, you know, have this phenomenal build. This guy is going to be the next breakout star in WWE, not even having to try out for NXT or toughen up or anything. And, you know, he's part of the tag team champions with Cody Rhodes. He's part of Legacy, hanging out with Randy Orton, a guy that he could learn a great deal from. Randy Orton's been there 9 years, the same amount of time as John Cena. They're approaching their 10th year next year. You know, Randy Orton could teach Ted DiBiase a lot. The same thing could be said for Cody Rhodes. But again, you know, they ruin it by breaking up Legacy at WrestleMania, and you know, Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes go on to do nothing since then. You know, WWE creative really need to put their heads together if they're going to be pushing Ted DiBiase. The man was in The Marine too. Phenomenal movie. Had the opportunity to check that out not too long ago. I was thrilled at the work that Ted DiBiase did in that movie, and I'm going to be honest with you, he has the potential to be one of WWE's hugest movie stars, probably since The Rock or even Stone Cold Steve Austin. He has a phenomenal way of getting over in movies. The Marine 2 was absolutely phenomenal, and when Ted DiBiase Sr. was here on the program, he put The Marine over so highly, and he was so proud of his son for being in that movie. And I believe that Ted DiBiase has a great deal to be proud of when it comes to Ted DiBiase Jr. You know, but the problem is, you know, WWE need to be booking him correctly, and the same thing can be said for Cody Rhodes. Here you have the son of the American Dream, and he's got this dashing gimmick, which is a good gimmick. But again, you know, you're booking him against people that are not getting him over. The people you're booking him against are getting over because they're booked to lose. You know, former tag team champions, potentially Hall of Famers, you know, are being booked to lose, and that's the biggest problem with Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes. I just wish, you know, someone would get things straight and start booking him to win. Like I said, you know, book Ted DiBiase in programs against Sheamus. Book Ted DiBiase in programs against John Cena. Book Ted DiBiase as a babyface in programs against the Nexus. And then you will see a difference. You'll see a difference. You know, the fans might, you know, get behind Ted DiBiase. Or you could keep him as a heel. Just have him win matches and stand out more than he's been standing out. You know, we look at Ted DiBiase. DiBiase, we used to look at him as a winner, coming out as part of Legacy, part of the tag team champions, and you thought maybe, they were going to win. At one point, they won a tag team match against John Cena and Batista. John Cena and Batista held the tag team championships for 1 week before Legacy won them back. They held wins over John Cena and Batista. And now you're looking at, Ted DiBiase coming out to the ring, and he's the guy who's booked to lose. It's so predictable from week to week that he's going to lose a match. He's just known for being the guy in the WWE locker room who's booked to lose, and it's absolutely atrocious. Something needs to be done, and if the reports are correct on ProWrestling.com, the right thing has to be done in regards to pushing Ted DiBiase. Don't push him for 2 or 3 months, and then the push is killed, and he's eventually released, sent back down to Florida Championship Wrestling, trying to regain a second run with WWE, or he's sent back to the independents. Because as I've said 100 times before, they look to push you, and once your push is killed, and they realize the push isn't working, you get that call from John Laurinaitis, and you're never seen or heard from again. I hope that doesn't happen for someone like Ted DiBiase, because like I've said, 100 times here on this show, that people like Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes, if they're booked right, tremendous things can come from them both. Ted DiBiase has the potential to be a future WWE champion. And, with things like the King of the Ring coming up, the Slammy Awards at the end of the year, have him do something that's going to make him stand out. Have him compete in number one contender matches. Get rid of Maurice, get rid of the valets and the managers, have him go on his own, keep booking him as a heel to win, keep booking him as a baby, change it from heel to baby face and have him win a couple of times. Like I said, if you're booking him to lose, at least have him lose, every 2 or 3 weeks. And then book him to win a scattered time. That would give fans faith for someone like Ted DiBiase. But right now, all the fans are doing now are looking at Ted DiBiase as someone who's booked to lose. And the same thing can be said for Cody Rhodes. But that's another story for another time. I'm Jonathan Clarke. You're listening to HEW Entertainment Variety Radio. The article about Ted DiBiase's push can be found on ProWrestling.com, and PW Insider. A number of different websites have been covering that. I thought I'd shed some light on it for this week's audio commentary, the first week of July in 2011. Take part in our weekly poll. The weekly poll poses a question as